Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me. This is Sierra from Sierra T Designs, and today I have this whimsical purple and blue snowflake flat shaker card. So let's jump right in. So I want to emboss my stencil onto the background of my cardstock here, and I have a stencil from Paper Rose. It's the Starry Night stencil, and I just prepped my piece of cardstock there. It's a piece of HammerMill cardstock with my anti-static powder bag. And then I'm going to use a blending tool, and I'm going to kind of pounce my Versamark ink into the stencil. You could use some pixie spray or a different way to kind of hold the stencil down. I didn't, because I'm not blending on top of it necessarily. I'm kind of more pouncing the ink into the design. So I wasn't concerned with all these extra pieces standing up while I was doing this. But if you were going to ink blend this, I would suggest pixie spray, just because there are some very intricate pieces that like to lift. And if you were like blending across it, I think that they would catch and they would ruin your blending. So yeah, I think that that would be a really fun way to use a stencil as well. But for this instance, I did really want to do a ink resist technique. So we're going to heat emboss this design. So I have some Superfine white detail embossing powder here from Ranger. It is one of my preferred white embossing powders right now. I kind of jump between the Brutus Monroe embossing powder and this Superfine one. I don't know that you needed the Superfine one for this specific design, but it's one of the ones I grab quite often. So I brought in my embossing heat tool, and I did warm it up a bit off screen before I brought it to my cardstock, just to kind of hopefully negate some of the warping. This cardstock, I should have probably chosen a watercolor cardstock. Honestly, I don't know why I picked my HammerMill. I think it's just a habit more than anything, because this cardstock can't take a lot of liquid, which luckily I don't end up putting a ton of liquid on the background, but I do use some, and a watercolor cardstock would have done slightly better with it than this piece. But I think it turns out really pretty in the end, so it works out. And then I'm going to bring in my Splat Box and two Distress ink colors. This is Tumbled Glass and Wilted Violet. And I'm just going to spray them directly onto the cardstock. You saw me there add a little bit of water to my cardstock as well, just to get a little bit of movement from my colors. But again, I don't want to add too much liquid, as this is not a watercolor cardstock. So I'm going to be a little bit leery of adding too much liquid to it. So I just kind of did a light misting of my colors, which is okay because it's the background anyway. So you're not aiming to have a ton of color anyway, so it works out. And then I just brought in a clean piece of paper towel, and my image is still a little bit wet at this time. So I am lifting a little bit of color from the other areas, but really the color's mostly only coming up from the embossing. And I did heat the back a little bit just to kind of help to dry the ink. You want to be careful with this because of course this is embossed, and I don't want to reheat the embossing powder. I just want to help the drying process of the cardstock along. So I have a Tonic shaker pocket here. Now you guys know, if you've been with my channel for a minute, that I like to generally make my own shaker pockets. However, a while ago I bought these and I really wanted to try them, and I tried them once and was so disappointed because of the static. So I've been working on ways to negate the static. So with this one, I actually took it to the sink and ran it in cold water, and then I lightly patted it dry with some paper towel, some clean, clear paper towel. So this did actually help. This has a little bit of static to it, which I'm not surprised. I mean, I'm in Canada. It's like -5 outside. It's actually warmed up quite a bit this week. It was -30 a couple weeks ago, but so yeah, I kind of, I'm not surprised to have some static, but the static I had from the first one was just ridiculous. Like all of the glitter stuck to it and you wouldn't have been able to see my background at all. So I had to give this a try again because I do own them, and it came in a pack of 5. So and this worked really well. Also, I used glitter that doesn't have static in it for some reason. I don't know what Tim Holtz does. I don't know what his chemists or his creators do, but I used the Mica the distressed Mica flakes and the rock candy inside, and it doesn't get staticky, so it's really neat. And then to put on top, I really wanted to put some snowflakes on them. If you guys know, if you've been with my channel for a minute, you know that I'm fighting being sick right now. I ended quarantine today, which is lovely, so that's kind of nice. But I've just been sitting at home staring at the snow fall outside and, hoping to leave my house one day. So luckily I am done quarantine as of today. This video has gone up. I'm out of quarantine now, but I've been watching it snow quite a bit, and I just wanted to put snowflakes on a card. I'm not going to add a sentiment to this card only because I don't know what I want to use it for. I think it could be a thank you card. I think it could be a thinking of you card. I think it could be a birthday card. Like, I don't think that it necessarily has to have a label to it. I don't think it needs to be like a Christmas card or like specifically a winter card. It is specifically a winter card, but I think that it would work really well with, say, like a winter birthday, or, just a thinking of you, or like, hey, I just wanted to send you a card type of thing. So I did cut out the Harmony Snowflakes from Simon Says Stamp out of some champagne glitter cardstock. And then you saw I put them on top of the card at the end, or in that last clip, but I felt like they didn't stand out on their own enough. So I cut out 2 more layers of the snowflakes in a white cardstock, and I'm just going to adhere all the layers together. So there are 3 layers altogether. I have 2 of a white heavyweight cardstock, and then I have 1 of that glittery cardstock that I am putting on the top, and I just layer them up with some liquid glue. I think that always looks really pretty. I like the layered look. I find that it gives a bit more weight to something that's quite dainty in this case, so it kind of can hold its own against the background. And now, granted, this card is very shiny. I have a tendency to revert back when I'm not feeling well, or when I'm struggling a little bit to come up with new ideas, to kind of revert to things that I love, and glitter and shimmer and shine is something that I just love. So this card is very shiny, but that just makes my heart happy. And, so I'm okay with it. I don't mind. So I did layer them up, and I did use my reverse tweezers to kind of make sure all the really delicate pieces of these snowflakes were lined up. And then I'm going to glue them straight onto the background there. So I did pounce off the glue once again, just to have it not oozing out on the shaker pocket. You could have maybe run them through like a sticker maker, like a Xyron sticker maker, or done something like that beforehand, and you could have adhered them that way instead of using liquid glue, which would totally have worked. But I didn't know what I wanted to do quite when I started this card, so it was a bit of a trial and error of what I was kind of hoping to create. And in the end, I think it turned out really pretty. I like it. It's a kind of a simple card. It's not, specific to anything, but I think that sometimes it's fun to make cards just to make a fun card, not because, it's specifically someone's birthday, or it's specifically something. So on this part, I did kind of go wrong. Don't use liquid glue like I'm going to try to do here. Because the plastic pieces of the pocket separate the card so much from the cardstock, the center of my cardstock adhered really well, but the edges did not, because they curve up a little bit. So I did end up, after I kind of put my Misti on top of this, which I like to use to weigh things down, I actually had to go back and add some double-sided adhesive in strips, and kind of had to shove them inside underneath so I could get the edges to stick down. So I would suggest using that instead. And then I did bring in some white jewels here. Again, I love glittery things, and I can never have enough. I'm a more is more type of creator, so I do have a tendency to do a little bit extra in the shine, but I think that the card turned out really pretty. I would love to know what you guys think of this flat shaker. Do you make flat shakers? Have you tried them? Would you try them? I'd love to know. And if you'd leave me a like, leave me a comment, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. I do new videos every Monday and Thursday, and sometimes on Saturdays whenever I have the inclination to make more. So thank you so much, guys, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.